Welcome to the Champs App podcast, where we help players and parents demystify the world of minor hockey development and recruiting for both girls and boys. On today's episode, we talk all things New England prep hockey with Cushing Academy Girls Varsity prep head coach, Valerie Bono Bunker. She shares her path to being a multi-sport prep and D1 college hockey player, how the New England prep school application process works, the path to playing college hockey from the prep school route, and the nuances of playing both on prep and club teams during the school year. This was a great conversation with Valerie, so I hope you enjoy it. Introducing Champs Plus, our latest recruiting and development copilot tool designed to guide parents and players through every step of the journey to women's college hockey. With Champs Plus, gain access to exclusive recruiting insights, expert advice, and hockey development resources tailored just for you. Attend our monthly expert-led webinars covering timely topics throughout the recruiting cycle. Submit your questions before or during the webinar to get answers straight from the experts. New to the women's college recruiting process? Explore our age-specific playbooks for 12U, 14U, 16U, and 19U girls. These guides help you navigate the path to playing women's college hockey. For those further along, dive into our extensive library of articles and videos, discover insights on summer recruiting events, June 15th preparations, and the value of taking a gap year. With new, highly curated content added weekly, Champs Plus ensures you will always have the latest information to boost your recruiting efforts and enhance your hockey skills. Got questions? As a Champs Plus member, you can submit recruiting questions anytime through our app and get personalized answers that are published to the entire community. Feeling overwhelmed by the recruiting process? Coming soon, we will have Champs Plus discussion groups where parents and players share advice and experiences based on where they are in their journey. Visit Champs Plus now and unlock access to more recruiting insights, player development advice, and expert guidance for a fraction of the cost of a traditional advisor. I'm very excited to have on the podcast Valerie Bono Bunker, head coach of the Cushing Varsity Girls Hockey Team. Originally from Woburn, Massachusetts, Valerie actually attended Cushing Academy as a student, where she captained the ice hockey, soccer, and softball team. She then went on to Providence College, where she played both ice hockey and softball. After graduation, she joined the family cannoli business, while at the same time, she coached high school and travel hockey. In 2017, she returned to Cushing as head coach of the Penguins and led the program to the NEPSAC Small Schools Championship in 2020. Welcome to the podcast, Valerie.
Thanks for having me. So excited.
All right. Well, very excited to have you. But once a year we have a prep school coach come on and tell us a little bit more about the prep school path for girls that want to go on and play college hockey. Maybe just why don't we start off like we all of our guests and start telling us about how you started playing hockey in Woburn, Massachusetts, and that eventually led you to playing college hockey.
Of course. Well, thank you. So obviously, as anybody knows, Woburn's a pretty big hockey town. So Paul Kennedy, who was my first hockey coach when I was 6, 7 years old, my best friends Shannon and Courtney, who you may know, who went to the University of Minnesota after a quick stint at Colby College. Paul was coaching hockey. I was figure skating and not happy about it. And he said, why don't you come over here and play? And I hung up the white skates and I never went back. So my dad was thrilled. He's straight off the boat from Italy. He's from Bergamo, Italy, which is a northern part of the country. And, he played soccer growing up when he had time, when he wasn't working as a child. And so coming over to the U.S. and having a daughter that played hockey and got to watch, Bobby Orr, right, win the Stanley Cup. So he was so excited. My mom was not thrilled, but she became a big fan of our program. And Woburn, I played there all the way up until I transferred over to play girls ice hockey at Chelmsford. So great times. Paul Kennedy's one of the best coaches, and we certainly learned a lot of our skills and coaching from him. He does it great.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, his daughter Courtney not only was part of the U.S. National team, but she also helped coach with the USA Hockey and was a longtime assistant coach at Boston College. Most recently left, and we'll see where she goes next.
Yes. That whole family taught me what hockey and the opportunities that we have growing up around the sport. And many of my core memories are with the three of them in them. So it's great.
Great. And so you ended up at Cushing Academy in the late 90s. Tell me how you ended up going to Cushing Academy and what was that decision like of deciding to go to a prep school?
Yeah, so I'm such a homebody. My parents, my sister's quite older than me. She's about 10 years older than me. So I grew up almost an only child. And when I started to notice that many of my friends, like Holly Ting and Jess Tab, and a lot of these players that I was growing up playing with in club hockey were moving off to prep schools, I just couldn't imagine myself moving away from home. So I stayed at Woburn for my freshman through junior year. I played three sports, but they didn't have high school hockey at the time. So I was a soccer goalie, a basketball center, and a softball pitcher, and loved every minute of it. Had my car and my cat, and just loved life at home. And then it started to occur to me that if I really wanted to get to that next level, which was the Olympic level, was a dream of mine, but also playing at the college level, I knew I needed to play hockey more often. So Cushing was starting a girls hockey team, and the athletic director at the time, Wayne Sanborn, gave us a call. Knew I was one of the only 16, 17-year olds at the time that was not in prep school, that was at a high level, and said, hey, listen, we're starting a team. We'd like to build it around you. Came out to campus in a day in August, and the next thing I knew, I was in Bed Bath and Beyond buying, dorm stuff. So it was pretty quick. I was excited, but the deal is that I would only go for 1 year. So I was already committed to Providence at the time. But when I showed up on campus that fall and fell in love with the campus and the community, I deferred my application for a year and went the following year. So I actually stayed at Cushing for 2 years.
Perfect. All right, we're going to come back to repeating a year, or at least staying an extra
Sure.
year at prep school in a moment. But maybe just tell us what exactly is the Betty Davis Award, and how did you earn that?
So Betty Davis, which is interesting, 'cause she really wasn't an athlete on campus when she was here back in the 1920s, but she was this. It's basically the highest academic average of a three-sport athlete, and so I received that 2 years in a row, my first senior year and my second senior year at Cushing, and they still give that out today.
Oh wow! And so, tell us about being a three-sport athlete. Like, is that something that helped you in hockey? And what? How did you have time to play all three sports? Obviously, in prep school, there you probably have time in between seasons, but still, you need to at least train for all three sports pretty much year round.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always playing sports. That's something that I do to this day. I love them. So growing up, it was the more sports you played, the better. But I never really stayed in one sport too long. So all year long, we were playing a variety of different sports, which, as you know, mental training, your muscles, your development, and also not overuse is key. So playing softball helped me with soccer, and soccer helped me with hockey, and basketball was fun, and it was great. And I also think there's something to be said about when you're not playing in a sport that you're typically so natural at, you learn a lot about yourself, right? And what your capacity is to deal with challenges and different types of coaching, and also win and lose and with grace. So I think all sports really helped me get to where I am today, both as a business owner and as a hockey coach.
Gotcha. So, tell us about getting recruited by Providence. Was your plan always to play ice hockey and softball, or did one evolve from the other once you got into one of the sports?
Actually, my dream was to play all three. Jackie Bardo was the Providence coach at the time that recruited me to go to Providence, and I wanted to go there from the beginning. I went there on a visit. We actually played the national tournament back in 1992, 93. It was in Rhode Island, and we had a tournament game in Providence. I was on the bench. I had a picture of me with the Providence logo in the background. And, at 12 years old, that's where I wanted to go. So my dream did come true playing at Providence for Jackie, but she did leave after my freshman season to go out to Ohio State. And there were times where in my head I thought, maybe I'll transfer to Ohio or take a look at another school. And I did some visits, but really Providence was where I wanted to be, and that was a dream come true for sure. Playing the three sports quickly went away because hockey season starts so early, and soccer season basically would be a no-go. So Jackie allowed me to play softball for 2 seasons, and that was going into the 1998-99 season where I really had to try to decide, was I going to try to make an Olympic push or not? And so I had to step back from softball and tried to really focus on ice hockey. Obviously, we know that didn't quite work out the way I had hoped, but there is a success story for those that don't make the Olympics. So it's something that I am proud to be a part of, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity that Jackie and then Bob Duraney had given me to continue my career as long as it did. But yes, softball and hockey are my love, and if I could do it today, I would.
Beautiful. All right. So you also played with some pretty good players who also went on to coaching careers. You're very well aware, Katie LaChapelle, who's head coach at Holy Cross, Holly Ting at Colby, Kristen Matthews Mead, who has been at St. Anselm and Boston University, and now is the head coach at St. Mark's at the prep school level, and then obviously Krista Talbot Saifu at Wilson Northampton. So, and I believe at least a couple of them also played multiple sports. Was that something that you were encouraged to do at Providence? And we'll get to it in a second. But how come they also all became coaches just like you did? So,
Well, that's actually something I'm most proud of when I see my friends in the rinks recruiting, or even just see their names in social media or watch their team's success. It's just so incredible to me that Providence has just such a large outpouring of support in the coaching community, whether it's at the college level, at the prep school level, or even at the youth and club level. Providence College, whether it was Jackie Bardo or Bob Duraney, who are two of the most amazing mentors that I've ever had, really instill in you what it means to be a leader, and to be able to give back to our community. And I think that was something that was instilled by my dad when I started working in the family business as well as in sports. Is you give back, right? If someone's giving you the opportunity and the time to develop and learn under their tutelage, when you have time and the ability, you do the same. And I think it's so impressive to me to see all of my past teammates in the rinks giving back to our next generation. There's greatness ahead for sure.
all right. So, and I'm assuming you probably sent some players to some of these schools that your former teammates are now at or were at some point.
Some of them,
Yeah.
not all of them yet, but I'm hopeful this is the year. This is the
All
year.
right. Perfect. All right. Now let's get on to some more important things. It's time to talk cannolis.
Oh.
So tell folks, what you started doing after you graduated, as it relates to your family business.
Yeah. So when I graduated from Providence with the marketing, a management major, I wasn't really quite sure what I was going to do, if I was going to get right into coaching or if I wanted to try out, try to train again and with the national program, try to get back into playing at a higher level. Some of my friends had gone overseas to play, and I just really couldn't pinpoint who I was and what I wanted to do without a hockey, as a hockey player. My dad at the time, it was going into September, which you will soon find out is cannoli season. Q3 and Q4 is the busiest time of our year at the factory. So he said, Val, we have a big order going to BJ's. Why don't you come in and help me chocolate dip these shells? And 25 years later, I am still there. Not chocolate dipping anymore by hand, but certainly still in the factory. I own it with my two cousins and my sister. We're second generation. We're 54 years old. So we're very, very proud of what we do.
Gotcha. And so I understand, cannolis are, the shell can be used for anything that you want, but I'm more familiar with the ricotta and the dessert version of it. But maybe just talk about the versatility of a cannoli and maybe how it applies then to the using cannolis in hockey and the versatility of being a hockey player.
100%. Well, I teach, a lot of the times in our conversation in the locker rooms, it's about teamwork, right? And everybody has a role and a responsibility, and something that one player might be strong at, maybe another player isn't so strong at. And I look at my business in the same way, where I run the sales and marketing team. My sister's the CFO and HR, and my cousin Eric and Ed are on the floors in operations. And neither one of us are really good at the other person's job. We know enough to be dangerous, but we specialize in what we do well. So it's interesting where I can, flip the switch between hockey and business owning, and it's very, very similar, right? We're creating teams of people. We're motivating them to do the best that they can be and do in that specific job or game, for example. But it's all a challenge, right? Every day it's learning, it's talking, it's communicating with each other and buying into the greater good. And the goal of the company or goal of the team is always to do the best you can do and improve every day.
Gotcha. And I believe your dad's quote or something along the lines of work hard, make a good product, don't try to be rich, and the rest will take care of itself. How does that apply to going to a prep school and doing well at sports?
It's the truth. It's finding good culture. It's finding good people. Family first, right? I want when I'm watching players play and getting to know families, I want to know if I walk into the rink that day, I'm going to be so excited to see this family, and I'm going to give that mom and dad a hug. And I really build our team like that, and I also build our business like that. We want to be surrounded with great people that have a common vision and goal, and we all work together to achieve greatness.
Perfect. All right. So now, correct me if I'm wrong, based on our conversation right before we hit record, is you have a pretty long commute to go from work to over to Cushing. So maybe just talk about the school and its location in Ashburnham, Massachusetts. I'm assuming it's probably a 60 to 90-minute drive from downtown Boston. Maybe just talk about the school. It's about 400 students. Maybe just give folks a little thumbnail sketch about what the school is all about.
Sure. So Cushing Academy is about 60 miles west of Boston out on Route 2. In Ashburnham, there's a population of about 7,000 people. So it's a pretty small community. We have one stoplight and it's a blinking yellow. So if you see that, you know you're nearby. Cushing community is just under 400 students, about half male to female. We have, class size average is about 12 students. We have 3 to 4 main buildings on campuses that house all of our academics. We have a visual arts center. That's world renowned. Students come from all over the world to attend our theater, drama, photography. Our art center is phenomenal. Most of the time when you come to campus, it's open. We have summer school during the summer months, obviously, and then we're in school from September to May. And it's always bustling. We have outdoor athletic facilities, our hockey rink, which is beautiful as your backdrop today. I love to see it. Can't wait to get back in there live. And then our new Watkins Field House, new dorms on campus. When you come to campus now, after 4 or 5 years of construction, I don't believe there's a building on campus that is not brand new at this point.
Perfect. Yeah. So maybe just talk about Iorio Arena and the hockey facilities, because I believe like you said, there were some renovations recently, and it's a beautiful arena, and you even host some tournaments there.
We do, yeah. So when I went back in 1994, the rink was just built. Teddy Iorio is the a father of one of the 2 alumni that had gone to the school, and absolutely loved this campus, loved the school, wanted to give back, and built the Iorio Arena back in 1994. It looks exactly the same as it did back in '94. The facilities are maintained impeccably. The student athletes take care of the facility like it's their own, and we're so grateful for the opportunity. And when I had walked in there back in 1995, when I attended Cushing as a student, I mean, how can you say no to a rink like that, right? It was unbelievable. So we're very lucky to call that our home. We're very blessed for the opportunity to play there every day. Most recently, we've had redone the ice surface, all the mechanics underneath the ice surface, the new temperature controlled facility, as well as new boards, new dashers, new glass. We have a brand new state of the art locker room that's better than most colleges. And we continue to improve with rink renovations every year. This year we've just built a new weight training facility inside the rink so our hockey players can train before and after practice.
Perfect. All right. So, and my understanding is the actual campus is kind of like a small college campus in terms of the amount of property you have and kind of the walking between buildings and things like that. Maybe just talk about, like, how nice it is to be on campus around during the school year.
Yeah, I think, any prep school, and we've been to many of them, whether it was through an application process or visiting because of a game. So most prep schools, the environment is to create sort of that preparatory experience to go to college, right? So you have your multiple buildings, there's multiple dorms, there's the dining hall, the student center. You're usually within a small town, so you have some off-campus opportunities to kind of mull around and visit other things, and you're meeting people from all over the world, right? So in my opinion, it's heaven on earth. If you want to go to a place that you can, be who you are, but learn things that, maybe your local community doesn't offer, prep school is phenomenal, and certainly Cushing is one of the best as well.
So, and for folks who haven't listened to any of the other podcasts about how New England prep school works, maybe just talk about the students living and boarding on campus, as well as like the teachers, and what the community is like and how that works. Because although you probably don't live on campus because since you have a day job, but I'm assuming most folks are all there in one small community, and they all kind of help out 24 hours a day, being with teachers being available to students even at night with tutoring and whatever else that needs to be done.
Yeah, I mean, just to reflect back on my time at Cushing when I was a student, I couldn't believe that teachers, had lives outside of the classroom, right? Because when you're in a public school, that's the only time you see them is front of the chalkboard, and that's all you know. But at Cushing, most of the teachers and faculty live in the dorms, so they're doing dorm duty. They're advisors for our students. They're doing some sort of college counseling or some guidance, and they're all teaching, working within the school on a day-to-day basis. So you're seeing them at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right before bed, during the day, at your games. So the environment that a prep school creates is so motivational for our students because you create an opportunity to create a relationship with a student that student really wants to please you, right? Really wants to work hard for you because you're like family. And I think that's the one thing that sets Cushing apart from many is that we are truly a family. When the kids go home for vacations, they cannot wait to get home at home to Cushing.
Gotcha. All right. So for folks who aren't familiar with New England prep schools, and I'm not asking about Cushing specifically, but maybe give folks a thumbnail sketch for how tuition and boarding costs work, and then even financial aid, so that people can understand. Here's kind of what the price tags look like, and how folks solve it.
Sure. Well, I think, every school is different. There's day schools, there's your traditional boarding school or prep school that you move away from home. And then there's a combination of the both. Some kind of do both as well. And I think from a cost perspective, the one thing that I've learned from the financial aid application through my time at Cushing, which I'm going into my ninth season, is that everyone knows that it's a very costly investment, but you're investing in your child's education and their future and the opportunity to create things that not might not be able to be experienced in a traditional public school setting, whether it's in the classroom with your smaller class sizes, getting to take different types of languages, or getting to meet people from all over the world. But the financial aid side of things, I think, is really important for families to realize that you never know what you're going to qualify for. This is a need based, generally speaking, at most prep schools. So when you apply for financial aid, you fill out your, all the tax forms, you go through the entire process as if you were, buying a house, for example, and they find out what you qualify for. And you get that financial aid package, and it can work or it can't work, depending on what you can, invest in your students' education. But it is a stressful process. I've been on the side of way more families who can't find a way to make it work than the ones that do, right? We have a very small roster, we have a very small campus, and it's very, very competitive to get into prep school in general. So I think the earlier you start and the more questions you ask and you apply for financial aid, and don't make any assumptions, just ask questions, get involved, and visit campuses, because I think there's always going to be a school out there for your son or daughter. It's just making sure you take the time to find the right one.
Yeah, with so many New England prep schools, having talked to enough of the coaches over the past couple of years, that there for sure there's definitely at least one school out there for you that will be a fit and will meet all of your needs. But as we're on the topic, maybe just talk to folks about how the recruiting cycle works. Right now, we're still before back to school, but maybe if folks were interested in starting in 2025, in the fall of 2025, what's the calendar look like in order to prepare and get into the application process and the whole 9 yards of going to a prep school for next
Yeah.
year?
Yeah, I think, like I said, the earlier the better. There's never too early of a time to reach out to either a coach or the community and say, listen, I'm considering a prep school for a class of, whatever, 2026, 27. And, get to campus. Typically, we see a really big uptick in visits in the springtime when players are, 'cause hockey specifically, when players are coming to the area for tournaments and state tournaments, or some types of showcases that a lot of the club hockey teams run nearby. Then we see another uptick in the summer months when, all the different hockey tournaments are going on around the Marlborough area, the Bedford area. And that's really the time in which you should start to consider for that fall of the following year, right? So visits in the spring and summer, applications would start sometime December, January. They're due in February. The results come out in March. And then you have till April to decide sort of where you kind of want to fall into to which school you want to fall into. And I think, if that's the time frame for families to make their decisions throughout that whole time, it's incredibly stressful because you don't know necessarily about the financial aid package, and you don't know if you're going to get in, and the coaches are calling or not calling. So I will mention as well as this is a very different process than it was just 9 years ago when I started. The timing of everything has stayed the same, but the amount of competitiveness in the coaching category, as well as in just trying to find the right student athletes for our communities, is very, very competitive. And I think that it's important to get to know your coach, get to know the school, and really find a place that you feel like you found your people, and let that coach know so they can help you through the process. Because going through it alone is not good. It's too stressful, and there's a lot of unknowns. And that's what we're there for, is to help.
Gotcha. And recently, one of the Champs members asked if prep schools actually reach out to players or parents directly, and how much of it is, the players or the parents reaching out to the schools. Is there any outbound, and how much of it is inbound?
I would say, I think every coach is very different. I tend to just take inbound. I know that there's always going to be a time in which we work with 4 or 5 different club teams locally. There are players within those club teams that might have friends that come to Cushing that want to come and want to, ask questions and get to know me. So they'll call and we'll set up a meeting and we'll talk on Zoom first. Then we invite them to campus. But I really want people that want to be at Cushing, right? I knew where I wanted to be when I was a student, and I want people to feel that same love and passion for our community. So if I work with a family and sort of finding out what type of player this student athlete is, get to know them, explore them, understand their values and their personality. Will they be a good fit for our community and, of course, our locker room? Assess their goals, sort of get through the process of who they are, what they want to be, and sort of the state of their playing ability at the moment, and then just continue to watch them through a course of 5 to 6 months over that application process. Helps me understand what their improvement opportunity is. And I spend a lot of time doing that. Right now we have over 150 kids that have already inquired, and next year we have a very, very small graduating class. We're a young team, and so to have 150 interested in August is tremendous. We're so blessed with that opportunity, but with that also is a lot of work and a lot of stress. And these are kids. This is not a hiring process at Golden Cannoli, right, where you're working with an adult. These are kids who have hearts, and you want to make sure that you carefully manage all of the expectations to make sure that the process is kind and as beneficial for the student athlete as possible.
Gotcha. Yeah. And so I'm assuming just there's a reality of, if you're having a small class, that's somewhere between 4 and 6 players, maybe, that you're bringing in, and there are very specific positions that are available. So you may only be carrying 2 goalies, and you may not need any new goalies for next season, type of thing.
Correct. Yeah,
Gotcha.
that's the hard part, is that to help. I'm a forward. Well, not every forward is the right forward that we need. Lefty, righty, big, small, fast, slow. There's so many different things that go into it. So I always encourage the families and the student athletes to focus on what they can control in the process. Right, be a good teammate, work hard, show good body language, make sure that you're coachable, and you continue to put yourself in an opportunity to improve every day. And if you can do those things, you will find the right place.
Gotcha. So what I'm hearing from you is that if you really are interested in going the prep route, now's the time to actually start reaching out to the schools that you'd be most interested in, and also recognize that it's very competitive. So don't just limit yourself to 1 or 2. That you might need several schools to apply to. All right, let's get into a little bit more on the prep hockey side of New England prep. If you're a player who really wants to play Division I college hockey, I know Megan Duggan went to Cushing, and she played at the national team. But in general, these days, less players are going from prep to the national team than have in the past. In terms of, you look at the numbers. So if you really want to play D1 hockey, is New England prep really the best route? The top schools like Nobles and Greenough, and I'm sure their name wrong, Wilson, Northampton, like, they only send 2 or 3 players per year to D1. And I know you have like one for this year and one for next year going, but is that really the best route versus a hockey academy, which are sending 6, 7, 8 players per year to play D1? Just want to get your perspective on it.
I think, it's hard to say what the best route is because I think every student athlete has a route that they take that's beneficial for them. One of the things that we do, and when I could speak on behalf of many of the prep school coaches, is we know that we are multidimensional student athletes. So your students that are going off to play D1 or D3 college hockey or going off into the real world to get jobs, they have a solid education background. They can do multiple things at once. They manage their time. They're self-sufficient, they're motivated, they're driven, right? And they understand the bigger picture. And I'm not saying that the hockey academy model is right or wrong. It's right for some people and wrong for others, right? We have two students coming in this year that are transfers out of the hockey academy model into your traditional prep school model. And a majority of those conversations revolve around, I thought it was going to be this and now I got this. Right. Or it's very competitive. I don't feel as supported, or, there's all kinds of reasons for one versus the other. And again, one isn't right or wrong. It's just different. And it worked for me as a student. It's working for me as a coach. And the players that come through my system, I feel as though they're very successful. In the last 2 or 3 years, we've sent dozens of kids to play Division I hockey. We just had a Division I commit this morning. So, that's super exciting for us, but it's not so much about the number as it's about the opportunity, the coaching, the academics, and then a really great hockey experience, right? That's the key there for sure.
Gotcha. And you brought this up a little bit earlier, so now I'm going to go back and retrace a little bit of the steps. You talked about repeating a year yourself, not, actually not repeating it, but doing an extra year. So I'm
Yep.
assuming it's a post-grad year. But at least on the boys' side, on the prep school, many, if not all, of the high-end players actually repeat a year and basically are doing the equivalent of a post-grad year before they go on to play junior hockey. And these days, very few go straight to college hockey on the men's side. Is that something that happens on the girls' side?
It does. More and more, a lot of families don't know that that's an option. They think they're sort of misunderstanding the point of a repeat. It's really reclassing. So if you take your freshman year at home in a public setting, and then you come to Cushing and you decide you want to reclass as a freshman again, you're identifying as a freshman, but you're taking the next level of classes. So you always could. I mean, I always joke around. I could have stayed at Cushing for 15 years and never taken the same class twice, right? The opportunities are endless as far as learning. And so when we have those players come in that are saying, I get straight A's, I'm not really challenged. Listen, you're going to be challenged in a prep school environment. I don't care what school you go to. It's going to be, harder. You're going to be required more, and you're going to be doing a lot of different things. You're going to be exhausted at the end of the day. So coming to a prep school, reclassing can also be from an academic standpoint, but it also can give you the opportunity to get another year of bigger, faster, stronger, better. So you're more marketable and have the better opportunity to impact the college game when you get there.
Perfect. All right. So, I don't know how many of your students actually do an extra year, whether it's reclassed or repeat, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I believe almost all of your players who want to play college hockey also play on a club team. Maybe just talk about that dynamic. I know we've talked about it in the past with other folks, but maybe just talk about, why players also play on a club team, during off times of the prep school team.
Sure. So we're really lucky in the sense that because our rink is open all year long, the girls have the opportunity to skate 2 days a week while they're managing their fall sport and their spring sport. So as we're gearing up for our season or their club season, they're skating at Cushing, on open ice and have captain's practice that's available to them. Through our season, we skate 6 days a week from November through March, and then they pick up the 2 mornings or the 2 afternoons a week in the springtime to continue. Through all of that, club hockey is happening on Sundays, and we have a bunch of different programs that our players are represented in at the tier 1 and tier 2 level, and they love it. They leave campus on a Sunday morning, they have a practice, a game, and they come back to campus. So they're typically skating anywhere from 2 to 4 days a week in the fall and in the spring, and then 6 days a week in the winter, which creates an opportunity for development, right? The kids are driven, they want to develop, they want to learn, they want to grow as hockey players, and we give them that opportunity without having to go the hockey academy route.
Gotcha. And the way I understand it, it also adds a little bit more complexity because depending on where your school is, you got to go get to the rink where the club team
Sure,
is.
sure.
It's my understanding that some of the coaches have been talking at the prep school level about potentially extending or expanding the season at the prep school level. So going beyond the high 20s or low 30s number of games to adding 5 to 6 more games to so that it reduces um, the need to play as much club hockey.
Interesting. You know what, sometimes I think I have heard everything. I haven't heard that. Doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. I think really the biggest thing for me, if I think about the development and the opportunity for the girls' game at this point in this juncture in their careers, is skating, development, practicing. So games are certainly competitive, and there's a scoreboard, and everybody loves the hype and our tournaments and showcases. We play 32 games at Cushing, plus hopefully the 3 playoff games. So we play a max of 35 games, which is the league maximum. There are some teams that only play 25 or 26, right? So there's a little bit of variety depending on what league that you play in, if it's a Founders League versus a non-league or just a traditional prep school team. But I think the importance of skating with these kids and teaching them the development opportunities in the off season is key. That doesn't mean that we're trying to take away the fall sport or the spring sport, because all of our athletes at Cushing play 3 sports. It's not required. I encourage it because I did it. I think it's valuable to our school. It helps them grow and learn. But I also understand that they need to be on the ice skating as well. So we try to balance all of that to make sure that everybody is right where they need to be when they need to be there. Also balancing nutrition, weight training, mental training, right? All of that stuff. So it really does become a full-time job to give them the opportunity to develop and grow while they're with us at Cushing. And I'm sure every other coach at the prep school level feels the same.
Gotcha. So, related to playing competitive games and developing, there are some schools which have traditionally been top 10 schools every year, and there are schools that tend to be not as competitive in girls hockey. How do you figure out what the right fit is for you for where you want to target if you want to go prep school? Like, how do you know like what's the right school for you if you really do want to play college hockey, but you may or may not be good enough to play at one of the top schools?
I think self-awareness at a young age is very important, and that really stems from the parents being able to evaluate their son or daughter with live glasses on and say, we're self-aware, we know what we need to work on, and we've set ourselves up for success with these opportunities of coaches that we trust." And I think trust and transparency and honest communication is key through the whole process. And you're never going to know where the right fit is until you speak with the coach and understand what are the values of the team, what is the culture of the team, what is the locker room like, who has gone there, where have they gone on and played, where do they come from, right? There's so many different things that can go on during that, say, 6 to 8 month recruiting process. But really, I think the biggest thing is kids want to play. They just want to play. They want to be part of something special, be part of the team, and impact it in a positive way. So at this point, there aren't very many prep schools that, will take in 4 lines of players and bench 2, right? We're not putting kids in the stands. That's not what we do. We're here to develop our kids. But at the same time, there is so many kids that want to come through the prep school process that we need to find ways to give, to broaden the horizon of the teams that are in the league, get kids to go to other schools so the whole league can become better, not just those top 10 keep going every year, every year, every year, right? And that's really my goal, is to spread it out. I'm working with the league officials to try to create a development model at the JV and varsity B level, because we really want to create an opportunity where if your roster's cut at 24, well, where are those other 125 kids that inquired go? There's got to be a place for some of them. And it doesn't mean we want to steal kids from each other. It means we want to take all of the pool of players and give them opportunities in different places. That's really my goal. When I hang on my hat at the end of the day, when I'm done coaching someday, I want to say that I helped far more people than I didn't.
Yeah, it's funny how every time I talk to folks from New England Prep, how they very much have a collaborative approach to the whole community as opposed to just their school, and
And I,
that's
you
very
know,
key.
and I and to go on top of that, at the it wasn't always that way. I think, and not to say that anybody was, knowingly, dissecting and dividing the programs. That wasn't the case at all. In fact, when I got the job, the first call I got was from Krista at Williston, who was my teammate at Providence, and said, if there's any doesn't matter. I will help. And I didn't know what was, I didn't, my head was spinning. I couldn't believe all the stuff that needed to be done that first year because we were 0 and 20, right? And it wasn't just about the success of the team. It's how do you recruit? What's your values? What are your morals? What's the culture going to be on our team? We built it from the ground up again, right? We had to rebuild our culture. But across the league, we know we're only as strong as we are as we can be together. And so we're all working really hard to create an open line of communication that we know is going to benefit our kids, right? That's why we do this. If we're not doing it for that reason, then you need to get out of it.
Perfect. All right. So I got one last, specific to New England prep hockey decision question. So obviously you played multiple sports. You played multiple sports when you went to college. Some folks, when they come to Cushing or prep school, think, hey, I really do want to play college hockey, but things change as they get there. They may realize they may not be as good as somebody else and may not be good enough to play D1. They end up playing another sport. Obviously they're playing 3 sports, throughout the season. An analysis I did a couple of months ago showed that when you look at the girls that go to the USA Hockey 16-17s camp, the ones that don't end up playing D1 hockey, and where they end up going, most of them actually end up going, usually from prep schools, and they usually end up playing a different sport like lacrosse or soccer or field hockey. So maybe just talk about that, of coming to a prep school and then realizing, hey, maybe your primary sport that you were focusing on may not be the best opportunity for you.
Right. That's an interesting. I want to pick your brain on that little study you did. That's amazing. I would love to read more about that. So I have a quick story. Sarah Potter, who was goalie of the year, and she won. She was the goalie in net when we won our 2020 small school championship. She came to Cushing back my first year when I was recruiting as a freshman goalie, and she was behind 2 Division 1 and Division 3 commits at the time. And I said, listen, Sarah, you're likely not going to get much playing time your first year or 2, but keep working hard, be a good teammate, and things are going to work out. You're going to have the net your junior, senior year. And the days went on, and she started playing field hockey that freshman year. She had never picked up a field hockey stick, didn't even know anything about it, but she led the league in goals that year as a freshman, and then the 3 next years after that. And she went on a full ride to Holy Cross, and she just graduated last year. So, here's a goalie who won the championship for us in small school and then went on to play field hockey up at Holy Cross, never having played field hockey before. And I could tell you 10 or 15 stories, and I'm sure every coach in prep school could tell you a similar story. We're hockey players are athletes. Athletes are not hockey players. That's what I like to say, right? Not everybody can just throw on skates and impact a hockey game, but every single hockey player with drive, determination, and a good sense of skill can impact any other sport because we're just crazy hockey people.
All right, that's an awesome story. All right, well, we're gonna almost end with that one. Last question for you is, what advice do you have for players or parents who want to consider New England prep, in terms of that, as well as using that as a path to playing college hockey?
And don't be afraid to ask questions, right? Find a coach that you can trust. Email, the coaches that are in the league that find an area of the schools that you're interested in looking at that are around your home that are okay to travel to, and then start visiting them. Get the coach's email address, follow them on social media, ask questions. I think the biggest thing I'm noticing is that a lot of parents don't even know what to ask. So sometimes those visits, sitting down and talking with a coach like you and I are today, you'll learn a lot by just having a conversation. And every single coach is open to conversation. We all want to help kids with the opportunity, whether it's prep school or staying at home in their traditional prep public school model, playing club hockey, or even some of those kids that choose to go off to the academy model. Everything is different for everybody, but all we want to do is create opportunities for conversation. And prep school for me, it worked. It changed my life. It made me who I am, and I couldn't be more grateful for the opportunity now to be the head coach at Cushing Academy.
Well, you're an excellent spokesperson for both Cushing and the entire New England prep school concept. So thank you so much for doing this, Valerie. It was great. It was great learning about the cannolis. It was great learning about Cushing Academy, and then obviously all the detail about how New England prep school hockey works. So thank you so much for doing this.
No, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully we'll have a good season coming up. The season's coming quick.
Yes, and all your games are live streamed if I saw your website correctly.
100%. We have live stream and we have two commentators, which is phenomenal.
Beautiful. Well, I'll sure to leave links to your team website and in the show notes, so we'll
Thank you
get
so
folks to be able to
much.
see it. I really want to thank Valerie for coming on the podcast. She really covered a lot of territory about the New England prep schools and playing varsity hockey. You can learn more about Cushing Academy and connect with Valerie on the school's website or via her Champs app profile. Links to both are in the show notes. Champs app is your recruiting and development co-pilot. Champs app helps athletes, coaches, parents, and agents/advisors navigate the world of youth sports. We recently completely redesigned Champs app so that all our offerings fit together seamlessly to dramatically improve the user experience. Next time you visit Champs app, you will see that it is much easier to use Champs app as your co-pilot for recruiting and development. While we will continue to provide free content and tools like podcasts, articles, and directories on our website, some new content will require a free Champs app account to access special analysis and information. We have made it easy to create a free Champs app account without the need to create an online profile. Our latest free tool is the Champs app Team Coach Directory, a powerful resource designed to simplify your search for D1, D3, and U Sports coaches in one convenient place. Whether you're a parent, player, or youth coach, our directory offers a seamless way to find, research, connect, or message coaches across women's college hockey. In addition, our first premium product has been the Champs app messaging tool, which is the fast, easy way to send error-free messages to coaches. Champs app messaging cuts the time to send emails to coaches by over 50%. Over the coming months, we will continue to offer additional premium tools and services to our community. We still have a long way to go to achieve all the big goals we have for Champs app. You will see new offerings being released over the coming months. So look out for more announcements on social media, in your email, and in the app. We look forward to helping you on your journey as your sports recruiting and development co-pilot.